Hello and thanks for checking out ChartGuys.com. We're proud to be one of the most successful technical analysis communities online, teaching you the skills to become a more confident, effective, and informed trader. Join our community of hundreds of analysts worldwide working together to learn the charts, generate profit, and achieve financial independence. For access to daily live chart analysis and market coverage, a thriving chat community, along with dozens of hours of exclusive educational materials. We look forward to seeing you. Let's check out some charts. Hey everyone, going to start off both the US and Canadian MJ videos this weekend with a little bit of an intro video. This is still midday on Friday, and just filming this as a sparked conversation from someone with Twitter, a bit frustrated with the sector who's not at this point, but he asked some good questions, raised some good points, had a good conversation, and I want to relay that information as far as the trading environment that we're currently in. Obviously, it's a very different psychological market, and I want to compare right now how, in my opinion, this fear market is the exact opposite of the euphoric market that we were looking at both technically and psychologically from the euphoric market at all-time highs on the way up to legalization. So this particular frustration for this individual is derived from this 5-minute equilibrium. So today we are looking for an oversold bounce. We get the gap down open, the bulls buy the gap down open, clear 5-minute equilibrium, bull break, uptick in volume. It's not a huge uptick in volume, but it is slightly increasing. And then it's straight into a bear break and a new low of the day. So as we know, when we see a break of support on a shorter term time frame with no follow through, we zoom out and look for a bull flag. When we see a break of support or a break of resistance with no follow through on a shorter term time frame, we zoom out and we look for a bear flag. So in this instance, that bull break, if we look at that on the 15-minute time frame, with yesterday's trading action, the gap down open makes it a little bit odd, but if we were just looking at yesterday's action and then this bounce, it looks a bit like a bear flag to me. Perhaps the half hour is a bit better, but again, just comparing it to yesterday's action, the bounce today, a weak bounce and a drop to lower lows, weak comparative to the previous day. So the individual's questions were, why are these bull breaks getting no follow through? Why are shorts not covering? Why are shorts not taking profit? And for me personally, shorts are getting greedy down here. Absolutely. And they also, the individual made a statement, bears can just throw a dart at the sector and be making money right now, which is exactly what it was on the way up. You could choose any marijuana stock. It would go up with the rest of them. The same was true in the cryptocurrency space. That's why all these scam coins that don't do anything ran significant percentages to the upside because of the environment, the market environment that we were in, euphoria versus fear. So now we are in fear, and the bears are greedy. Don't get me wrong. We are absolutely seeing bears greedy that are either entering positions down here or just holding on to positions. Maybe they're up 40% and have no interest in covering because the bearish news and the seeing their gains every day just leads to them not having an interest in covering that position. So just an example, if we're going to be looking at the bounce this morning, and I'm going to put a line here on the top of this bounce, and then we look back at the last however many weeks of trading. Let's draw here at what point in today's bounce were bears underwater. Pretty much the only underwater bears are bears that entered right there or bears that entered very late at the end of the day yesterday. Where are the bears that are in green positions after this morning's bounce? And the answer is anybody that's ever gone bearish in the last however many weeks is very comfortably profitable. There is no pressure on them to cover. The high of the bounce today on the daily time frame put us less than 6% away from the high of yesterday. Look at the action on just yesterday's trading. All the bear volume was in the first 3 hours of trading, and pretty much anybody that entered bearish in the first 3 hours of yesterday's trading, only a few of them were in the red today, the ones that entered at the bottom of the initial push yesterday. So the bottom line is there's no pressure on shorts. If you want to see pressure on shorts to cover, you need a daily trend change. And 2 days ago was just the confidence builder for the bears again. Oh, we're going to try for a daily trend change? Okay, if I'm a bear, I'll cover when we change the daily trend because it's been a while since that's happened. We didn't change the daily trend? Great. I'll keep riding my position and I will keep profiting every single day. So until that changes, we're just going to see lower highs and lower lows. So now the question becomes, what's going to stop us from seeing lower highs and lower lows all the time until we go down to zero. Well, eventually we hit a point where fundamental investors or institutions see the market cap reach a point where they feel it's good risk to reward return to establish long-term positions. When that happens, we will see a lot of longs enter long-term positions, and we will see then shorts have to cover. My question today was, who's left to buy? Bulls bought the gap down open, and then bulls bought for an hour of trading. Who's left to buy on that bull break? And if we're looking at institutions establishing long-term positions and sizable positions, then the answer will be institutions. They're going to look to continue buying. They can't do it just in 1 hour because we're talking significant money, but we're not at that point yet. So eventually, whether it's at $18 or $13 on CGC, we will see institutions step in and start buying up the supply of shares. Then that's the scales that I'm talking about, where we have supply of shares outweighing demand. We then will see institutions buy up at what they feel is good value shares. The supply gets limited, the demand increases. Traders like myself are going to be all over this bounce, and I'm going to be looking to make solid swing trade profits on this bounce eventually. Whether that's in 1 month or 7 months, I have no idea, but we will have the institutional investors, we will have the bullish traders come in at the same time, and that sucks up supply, and then demand is there. And the demand will be traders like myself, institutions, and shorts that have to cover. And we will reach a point where it's all buyers, including the shorts that are covering, and the sellers, we reach a point where anybody that's going to go short has already gone short, and anybody that's going to be flushed out of a long-term position has already gotten flushed out. Again, I'm not saying we're there right now, but that's the psychology of when the tilt, the scales tip, and we see the change, and we see the bottom of a fear cycle. So that's what we're keeping an eye out for. Until then, bull breaks are not the time to be buying. And as I pointed out this past week, I took small losses on Cron and ACB buying bull breaks, and that was my slap in the face reminder. What are you doing? We're in a fear market. Why are you buying bull breaks? And I pointed that out when I was live today. The bulls want to be entering on support plays, not on resistance breaks. So entering off of the 5-minute higher lows and putting your stop under each 5-minute higher low has very low risk. Let's say that low is 2027. We fail to break the high of the day. We pull back. I enter at 2032 and put my stop at 2026. I'm risking 6 pennies and hoping we can see a new high of the day. We then hold the 5-minute uptrend. We get that bull break, and then bulls exit some positions. The bears jump back on it. So why are the bears so aggressive? They're greedy. They're getting to a point of greed. And look at the way back up. So remember when times were good and everybody was friends and money was growing on trees? The simpler times in life? Well, CGC on the way up on the hourly time frame from 33 to 56. This is from August 2018 to September 2018. Look at how many bear breaks we had on the hourly time frame that were bought straight into higher highs. Here's an hourly higher low. There's a lower high, lower low, bull break, and a continued run. There's a support level right there. So we had our high, low, lower high, higher low, equilibrium, bear break, straight into a new high. We had more and more. High, low of the pullback, lower high, big bear break, straight into a higher high. So my point is, it is the exact same thing happening, but the opposite. Bulls were buying every single dip. When Bitcoin was in blue sky breakout, I told my friends who didn't know anything about charts, just buy 5-minute oversold. If you buy 5-minute oversold, it continues going up, and it's an easy play. And there would be plenty of support breaks, and as soon as the 5-minute RSI hit oversold, the algos, the bots, and traders like myself would buy that dip, and regardless of the support break, we would see continuation because the overhead resistance was so slim, it was very easy to recover from a bear break. Likewise, for the bears, it's very easy in this current scenario to recover from their breaks or their bounces. This oversold bounce is now right back down at the low for CGC. Look at the 5-minute RSI on CGC over the last couple of weeks. Any single time that 5-minute RSI gets over 70, if you short it, you make money. So again, it's extremely easy for bears. His point about throwing a dart and going bearish and making money is absolutely true. And that tells us that we're reaching a point of euphoria for bears. The bears are going to get in trouble just like the bulls got in trouble. The smart bears won't. They'll be fine. They'll lock in their profit and they'll be done before the climax. But you better believe that we are going to see bears that are 20, 30% in profit. They're going to exit their position at break even or in the red when the climax and turnaround does happen. So it's just a matter of time. Human psychology does not change, and it's the exact opposite of the euphoric cycle. So for my personal plan, patiently waiting, knowing that I have a significant opportunity as a bull approaching sometime in the next however many months, and I'm going to be looking to make significant profit when we do hit our bottom, when we do see the cycle shift from fear. Bitcoin, we saw the weekly trend change, and again, it was a bit more slow and drawn out. It was not a news catalyst that led to the bull break and the change in trend. From the bottom, we dropped 85%. We bounced around for a few months, and then the shift took place. I waited for that weekly signal before I turned bullish, and I did turn bullish on that weekly signal, but I was still timid in the sense that I was not just going to buy and hold, and I definitely didn't make 400% or 300% on the way up, 250%. I made a nice chunk of that, and it's probably going to be the same for me if I'm going to be honest with myself. I'm not going to be able to just buy and hold and sit through and watch the sector for months try and recover. I will probably just get a big piece of the pie, but I'm not going to nail that whole move. But again, I'm just going to be patient until the signal is given. For me, the daily signal on CGC has been waiting for a daily trend change, and it only happened once in the last however many months since 52, and I'm going to be patiently waiting for that to happen again. I'm not going to be buying into weakness. I will play oversold bounces for quick flips, but the sentiment shift will be set either with a news catalyst where we see a big enough move of short covering that we can say, okay, bottom is in for now, or when we see a daily trend change, and really it's going to be a weekly trend change for CGC before I can confidently say, all right, our bottom for this fear cycle is over for now. And that's not going to happen anytime soon. Next time CGC does change the daily trend, we're just looking for a lower high compared to 28.89. And in my opinion, without a significant catalyst, it would likely take, maybe 3 to 7 weeks from finding a bottom, bouncing, setting a weekly lower high, setting a weekly higher low, and then changing the trend. So it's certainly not going to happen quickly unless there's a major catalyst where the whole sector goes into a little short squeeze. I'm not holding my breath for that to happen, but you better believe I'll have my market buy finger ready to go if that does happen. Until then, I will be patiently waiting and salivating at the opportunity that is approaching. So let's now get into regular technical analysis. USMJ sector, we'll start it off with GWPH, which is still in the potential bear flag on the weekly time frame. Actually, we haven't even started much of a bounce for it to be a bear flag. When I look for a bear flag, I look for a daily trend change and a lack of follow through, and we haven't gotten that daily trend change yet. So it could absolutely be a bear flag. Resistance is a double top at 121. If we see a bear break of 110.36, odds that we're going to drop to lower lows will increase significantly. So we have a tight little range that we've been trading within for the last 6 days, and we'll look for a break of that early next week. IIPR has the start of a bounce attempt. Anything on the daily chart under 92.83 is just a lower high. So we know we're not changing the daily trend anytime soon. Weekly time frame also continuing its downtrend, and we're at a area of previous support. So when I look at this chart and I look at the price levels for support, I can see that on the move from essentially $70, $80 all the way up to $140, we didn't establish any weekly support. The faster you go up, the faster you're going to come down through those levels, whereas this range right here between $75 and $93, there's a ton of price history and way more shares traded hands here than did at any particular level on the way up. So here we are getting back to this range now, and if we'll just put a line at that low, we can see that support was 75.56. We bounced off of 75.76 and saw a solid, 5% bounce or so? So we'll see if we get any follow through, which we absolutely could get a little bit of follow through. But the bottom line is previous price history levels lead to support and resistance. And this is a little instance where that's the case. Cureleaf. So Cureleaf has to set a daily higher low, and we have not done so yet. We need an hourly trend change. low of Friday, higher low. So essentially we have to break the high of Friday to set the daily higher low. Low, high, looking for the higher low, and then we have to break 929 to change the daily trend back in favor of the bulls. Otherwise, we're going to stay in a tightening daily range most of October, I would anticipate. So if we can change the hourly trend on Monday, daily higher low is set and focus shifts to 929. And if we can't, still looking for that higher low compared to 685. CWeb, same story. Did we change the hourly trend? Answer is no. Drop to a new low of the day at the end of the day. So bears still in control of that hourly trend. We have our low at 1560, high of the bounce, and we're looking for the higher low compared to 1560, and there's no sign of it just yet. CL. CL actually stood out to me, CL and OH on Friday. I was watching OH on my screen, and it was very clearly a lead bull in the MJ space, both US and Canada. So 850 is resistance. And what stands out to me here is the lower low bear break and no follow through, which is the hallmark of a falling wedge pattern. And it really just shows bear's exhaustion. So watching for bear exhaustion on CL and OH, 850. If we don't break that level, it's just a lower high and we'll need the daily trend change. If we do break that level, it's a very notable move off the low. Looking at OH, same thing. Drop to a lower low without much follow through. 644 is the level to be watching here. And it's the setup for the potential of an inverse head and shoulders pattern for both of them if we get some follow through. Left shoulder, here's our head. If we fail to break the neckline, we'll need a daily higher low and then the trend change to follow through. So we'll need a little bit more information early next week, but all about that resistance. If we fail, still a possibility for a daily trend change on that inverse head and shoulders pattern, but we would have to hold the low at that point. TRUL continues to stand out as a lead USMJ bull, and it honestly is impacting my view of the financials. So the financials of TRUL, some have pointed to as better than others in the space, and the chart is backing that up. Is the chart strong right now? No, not on its own right. There are some levels of support, but if you compare it to the rest of the sector, it's holding up way better than anybody else. So this is the kind of setup where correlation matters to me. We're watching CGC for a daily oversold bounce and a 4-hour oversold bounce early next week. I look at this chart and I say, okay, there's not a tick-for-tick correlation with CGC, but I know that the major sector leaders definitely influence on down the chain. And if we see CGC 4-hour oversold bounce on Monday, TRUL bulls are positioned very well to break their 1285 resistance with a significant amount of follow-through, or I should say a convincing follow-through move over $13, and that will give us the weekly trend change that we've been watching. Low, high, higher low, and higher high. So you better believe the TRUL is on top watch for early next week. And if we get a more convincing break here, it's not a textbook cup and handle pattern because we did break. The right side did already break, but we have resistance that is clearly still resistance. Very healthy consolidation. If you look at any other individual USMJ name, how much pullback did we see in the last 6 days of trading? TRUL is currently at green in the last 6 days. Find me another USMJ name that is green from where it was 6 days ago, and you're probably not going to find anybody where that is the case. So that's why TRUL has my full attention, TRUL. And after 13, we're looking up at 1330, excuse me, and then 14 after that. TRUL bulls liking that setup. IAN still very weak. Bounce attempt on Friday, no follow through, still just a lower high every day. If we do see a break of that pattern, we'll just be looking for a lower high compared to 214. If we were going to compare it to other names like OH, it's a very similar chart. We drop to a lower low. The one thing missing is the big green day. OH with its big green day after dropping to a lower low. IAN, no big green day after its lower low. Still possible it could follow along and see a similar kind of setup, but we will just be looking for a daily lower high. Looking at MedMen, continues to drop to all-time lows. Bears in complete control of MedMen. And if anybody's going to be a penny stock, as in under $1, MedMen is racing. It's a race between MedMen and IAN and some of these other names as to who's going to be the first MSO to go from a solid $5, $10 price level to a penny stock. Anything under 247 is a daily lower high. Support 152, and then a lack of support. We're looking at 150, 140 psychological levels. GTII, just like CWeb and Cureleaf, we're looking for our daily higher low to form. So we have our low, high of the bounce, daily inside bar. If the inside bar breaks bullish, our higher low is set at 1134. If it does not break bullish, our higher low is not set, and we're patiently waiting for that higher low to try and form. And again, these names, I expect their daily higher lows will be established when we see CGC's oversold bounce get going. HARV, anything under 452 is just a lower high. Bears in complete control of this name still. And we will just be looking for a lower high to form on this bounce. And the daily exponential resistance is our guide. KSHB, potential playoff of 132 support is approaching. So 132 was the low. We saw a huge bounce to 183 and no follow through, giving it all back. So 132 is the only support level nearby. And if 132 were to break, we're going to be looking down at 124. And it's a potential. Well, actually, the weekly bounce hasn't started yet. It's an inside bar. I wouldn't call that a bear flag, but have to hold 132 and try and stay in this tightening range. CVSI, daily higher low trying to form. I'm going to have interest in CVSI for this daily higher low, just like I would have interest on Cureleaf for its higher low and GTII. So there's a couple different setups, but this is the most common setup, looking for that higher low to form, looking for it to align with CGC's oversold bounce. Cureleaf, GTII, and CVSI have my attention. We got TRUL as a clear lead standout bull has my attention. That's what I'm watching this coming week. So CVSI has to change its hourly trend. Low, high, higher, low. Didn't get the bull break, but need that Monday. And I would look for a lower high to form in an equilibrium because, again, percentage moves. What are the odds that we go 40% to a higher high or we go 20% to a lower high and then stay in a tightening range? So I would be watching for the lower high as the more likely scenario. NBEV just trying to hold 257. Just very clear lower highs every single time we try and bounce. And most recent resistance, 290. Only support nearby, 257. PYX was a bear flag last time we looked at it. Fending that off a little bit. But if we look at the weekly time frame, anything under 1690 is just a weekly lower high. So trying to get some space for the bulls above 1169 support. Bulls will certainly take it at this point. You could make the argument that it's trying its own inverse little head and shoulders pattern here as well. Short-term resistance 1349. I don't really have much interest in this name, nor do I have interest in NBEV or ZYNE. ZYNE has to hold 683 and break 815 to try and change the daily trend. So that's my setup. That's what I'm watching. Daily higher lows lining up with a CGC oversold bounce. I'm looking for a CGC 4-hour oversold bounce. I'll have interest in playing that. I'm looking at TRUL. I'm going to have interest in playing that. And watching those other names for their daily higher low to form. And watching to see if the USMJ space can eventually change their daily trends bullish. Because if they can't, we know the bears have complete control. And that changes nothing. So hope you have a good weekend. Thanks for tuning in. Do good things out there. And we'll see you next time Monday.